here is our first contextual scenario. Bobby got the idea of selling biryani from his niece, Janet, who has her own takeaway business in South Africa. So he's selling the biryani through his niece, who has a takeaway business. Janet's variable cost to make one plate of chicken biryani is 13 Rand. Her fixed cost amounts to 600 Rand. Okay, so this is talking about the costs to make the biryani. Now, I have a question for you before we carry on with the questions below. Fixed costs here. What could be in the fixed costs? What fixed costs could Janet have to make her biryani? Any examples out there? Does anyone have an example of fixed costs? Fixed costs. All right, good. We've got rent. Yes, rent is a fixed cost. You have to pay it every month for the premises that you make the takeaways in. Good. Rent is an example. Yes, Wanga, very good. So fixed costs don't change. They stay the same every month. So rent is a very good example for fixed costs. Water. Now, one day water will, no, that could be, you could say it's a fixed cost. All right, because you're going to have to pay an amount every month. Yes. Car allowance. Yes, if you had a salary. Okay, but car allowance is more personal finance, personal income, personal finance. So a car allowance, it is a fixed expense in terms of your personal budget, your personal allowance. It is a fixed expense. So yes, that could be fixed as well. Insurance, yes, the insurance should be the same every month. A salary, yes, Jasmine, if you're talking about personal budgets, a salary will be fixed as well. Yes, Margaret, good. So it doesn't change, hey? Salaries, yes. School fees, good. Yes, these are all fixed expenses, okay? A contract, yeah, like a cell phone contract, a DSTV contract, good. Now, what about businesses? Besides rent, if you had a business, what fixed costs would you have? Besides rent, what would you have to pay every month? Oh, someone said salary. Yes, your business would have to pay salaries every month, so that could be a fixed cost. Good. Yes. All right. So rent, salaries are very good examples. Labor, yes. You'd have to pay labor, or you'd pay salary, wages every month. Stock prices. Stock prices. If you had to pay that every month, stock prices. If you bought stock every month, yes. Okay. You could, if you bought stock every month. Yep. All right, good. What about variable? So I've even got the 13 circled here. What about variable? All right. Now you guys mentioned things like so variable is 13 and the 600 is fixed. So the rent would go into the 600, but variable would be things like buying materials to make the biryani. So rice and spices, containers to put the biryani in. So anything that relates to it depends on how much biryani is made. That will vary. Okay. Also electricity as well. Yes, electricity would also go into variable because you're only going to really use electricity when you're cooking, except for when you have the lights on and things like that. But some of the electricity costs would also be variable depending on how much biryani you make. So when we talk about variable, we're talking about it depends on how much biryani you make. Okay. But the fixed costs don't really care how much biryani is being made. They are going to stay the same every single month. Every single time you make biryani, there's always going to be a fixed cost. So even if you don't make biryani, you still have to pay something like rent. Okay. You might still have to pay something like wages to people that have to come in, even though they're not making biryani, they're doing other things. You still have to pay a wage. It's not like you can say, all right, guys, we're not making biryani this week, so everyone doesn't get a salary. You can't do that. So salaries will always be there. All right. Water and electricity, they will always be there, but they're going to be depending on how much biryani you make. So you could say the variable costs will include things that vary according to the amount of biryani. And fixed costs, don't worry about how much biryani is made. Those are costs that will always, always, always be there. Okay. Now, here we have question 1. And they say here, Janet uses the equation below to calculate her fixed cost. So here's the equation here. All right, now let's understand the equation first of all. So the total cost to make biryani is 600 Rand, all right, which makes absolute sense because even if you're not making one container full of biryani, you're still paying fixed costs of 600 Rand. So this part of the equation here is the fixed cost part. And then next to it is the variable cost, okay? The 13 Rand, there should be an R there. All right, guys, just pretend there's an R in front of the 13. The 13 Rand depends on how many plates of biryani you make. All right, so I'm going to put a V there for variable, and I'll use an F here for fixed. Okay, so this total cost equation is made of the fixed portion and the variable portion. All right. Now, they also say something about P, which is the number of plates of biryani, and that goes there. All right, so number of plates, P for plates of biryani is there. All right, so this total cost does also depend on how much biryani you make. Okay, so that's the equation that we're going to use to work out total cost. Now, I've got a question for you guys to warm up with. I want you to calculate the total cost if 18 plates of biryani are made. So I'll move over slightly so you can see the equation and the question. So on the left, we have the equation, and on the right, we have the question. So I want you guys to take a minute to calculate the total costs if 18 plates of biryani are made. Let's do that first so we understand how to use this equation. All right, so you guys get your paper, your pen, and your calculators out, start working it out. You use that equation, and I want you to work out what's the total cost if 18 plates of biryani is made. Should take you guys about a minute. All right, we got some numbers coming in. That's excellent. All right, dwindling, that's fine. Yo, Cabo, that's a huge one, eh? It's a big value there. Good, we got answers coming in. Yes, good, good, good. Hi, Tando, welcome. All right, we got some values coming in there. Everyone should be calculating something in front of them, whether it's on the calculator or the piece of paper. You should have something in front of you. Remember, you need to be active in this lesson. All right, good. So we got some numbers coming in. People are confident. All right, let's have a look and see. And let's confirm what we are getting here. Okay, so I'm going to say total cost here. I'll write the word total cost is equal to 600 Rand, which is the fixed cost that doesn't change, plus 13 Rand. And when it's next to P, it means times. So I'll show the times there. So you guys can see it, so there's no confusion. All right, so that's the equation. They're all, not 13. Oh, yes, no, that is 13. And then we'll change this P and put in the 18 from the question. All right, now let's work it out. Get the calculator out. Let's use this thing. Costs a lot of money. All right, I like to use brackets. Don't think that you have to use brackets. I like to use brackets because in my head it isolates different parts of the equation. That's all. But the calculator will do the 13 times 18 first anyway. All right, but I'm just forcing the calculator. Not that I don't trust it. All right, there we go. 834 Rand. Very good. So that's a basic substitution into an equation that they give us in the exam. So for 18 plates of biryani, it will cost 834 Rand. So that's easy to use. Now they have a question here. Use the equation to determine the number of plates sold if the total cost was 1380. Now, this is the reason why I got you guys to do this little sum first. Because you are used to working with an equation like this. To work out total cost, you got to say 600 plus 13 Rand times P. Okay. And you put in a P value, whatever your P is, however many plates of biryani you've sold, and on the left, you'll get your answer out. But let's read what this question says. Okay, this question says, use the equation, there I've written it out already, to determine the number of plates. All right, on the right-hand side, I said you're using the equation to work out the total cost. Okay, but here they want us to work out the number of plates. So this p-value here isn't given to us. We need to find it. But that means they've got to give us the other values. Yes, they've given us total cost. All right, they've given us total cost here. So that must go inside this part of the equation over here. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to put in the total cost that they gave us. And we're going to try work the other way around now to find what P is. Now, I need someone to help me. What do I do first? What do I do? Anybody?
Somebody.
Somebody out there? Anybody?
No, you adding new lyrics without telling me?
Oh,
Okay, I see you want to fly
sorry.
solo.
Guys, I had a strong cup of coffee before this lesson.
Okay, we have Bianca. I'm going to unmute you. Please make sure there's a message you see. There we go. Hi, Bianca.
You there, Bianca?
Hello.
Hello? Hello? Bianca? All right, let's try Ben.
Hi, sir.
Hey, Ben, how you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. And how are you?
Good, thank you. Hey, listen, have you started the trials yet?
Yes, I have.
How's it going?
It's going, yeah, it's going good. I'm writing maths this week, Friday.
Friday. Okay, cool. So we still got time. Hey, we should actually start measurement before you write your exam. Oh no, we won't. Okay, so we'll do quite a bit of finance then at least. When do you do paper 2? Do you know?
Paper 2 is measurements.
When is that going to be? Next week, Monday?
Monday, yes, next week Monday.
Yeah, all right. Sure. All right, so we got 2 lessons before you get your exam underway. Okay, but let's get as much in as we can. All right, Ben, what do we do here? What's the story here?
I say we switch everything and then we leave the variable alone, which is the P.
Good. What about, so which value do I take away first?
I calculated, but I don't know if it's correct, but I did 1,380 divided by 600 plus 13.
Okay. So let's do, it's good that we deal with the 600 first. Now, how is the 600 attached to this P? What sign is between the 600 and this P here? So we got the P here next to 13. How is the 600 here attached? With what symbol is it attached to that P?
X, multiple.
The 13 has got the multiple next to it, yes, but this 600, the plus, yeah. So the 600 is being added to that 13 and the P. So to get rid of that 600, I recommend that we do the opposite of the plus, which means we'll have to
minus.
So we're first going to minus the 600. Okay. Then what we left with, now imagine now that we've dealt with the 600. So now we've got the P and the 13, and that 13 is attached to the P with multiplication.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So once we've minus the 600, we will then need to divide by 13. Okay. So you should ask yourself, what is that value? How is it attached to the P? What's the relationship? So this 600, its relationship with the P is that it must be added to it. So if it's going to be added to it, to get rid of it, you must subtract it.
Yes.
Okay, and the 13 is connected via multiplication. So like you said, we will do division. All right, let's see. Let's see what we get here. So I'm going to do what you suggested, Jobin. I'm going to, in fact, yeah.
It's 60.
All right, let's check. There we go. Yep, I got it as well. Awesome. Good job. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
All right, so there we go. P is equal to 60. Now, is this, if you're concerned, like, well, I don't know if this looks right, all you can do is just put it back into the formula and see if it works. So 600 plus 13 times 60. Yes, that gives us 1380, so that works as well. All right. Good, 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 good. All right. So Liana, just be careful. Don't divide by the 13 first. Also, another trick is you work from the outside in towards the P. So this 600 is furthest away from the P. So we deal with it first and you work your way in towards the P. So first the 600, step one, and then step number two, deal with the 13, which is right next to it. Okay. All right. So yes. So if we have 1,380 rands worth of costs, it must mean that we are selling 60 plates of biryani. Okay, I hope you guys understand how this equation works. We used it one way where we worked out the total cost, and we used it the other way when we were given the total cost, and they wanted to know what is the number of plates. Now, let's get down to what you guys know as break-even analysis is. So here we go. They say table 6 below shows Janet's total cost and income from selling different number of plates of biryani. All right, so this is income and cost here. It says the income graph has already been drawn on the attached answer sheet. Now I've got the graph next to me here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So there's the income graph for the income of this business. Okay, they've drawn the line for you. All right, so there it is. Now let's read the question over here. It says use table 6 and the same grid to draw another line graph representing the cost of different number of plates of biryani. So now we've got to fill in the cost line. Okay, so this line here that comes in the table is what we've got to put down on the graph. So we're just going to plot those points. Okay, please go up to the total costs. All right, I'll go up there quickly. I hope that's good. Okay, so while we, for this graph here, we're going to plot values from the table. Now, I want you to please remember something. In break-even analyses, it's a really cool question to set. Number one, because you've got 3 parts to play with as an examiner. You have, number one, an equation, which we've just dealt with. They could ask you all kinds of questions on the equation. Build an equation, use an equation, use it the normal way to determine total cost, use it the reverse way to work out number of plates. So there's lots of questions that you can ask with an equation. Then you can also get a table, which we're seeing down below. All right, they gave us the table here. Sometimes they give you a table, take some values out, missing values, and ask you to fill them in, maybe using an equation to help you with that. So they often give you an equation and a table. And then thirdly, which comes in a break-even analysis, is the graph. Okay, and sometimes they give you the graph and ask you questions on it, or often they will ask you to draw on the graph. Okay, so there's always 3 parts to a break-even analysis: the equation, the table, and the graph. Now, if you have the equation, you can fill in the table, you can draw the graph. If you don't have an equation, you can work it out with a table and even with a graph. Okay, so if you remove one of these, and then you know there's a relationship between them, you can actually fill in missing information between these 3 things: the equation, the table, or the graph. This question, we've dealt with the equation. There is the table on the left, and now they want us to plot onto the graph. So let's plot onto the graph. Unfortunately, you guys don't have it, okay, which means I've got to do the work for you. That's fine, I don't mind. All right, so now we're going to plot this onto the graph. So for the first one, always when there's 0 number of plates, what is the cost? 600. Now I want to count these lines. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is 600 over there. Okay, that's the start there. The little red dot is 600 for 0 plates. Now, what's the next one? For 10 plates, 730. So for 10 plates, I've got to go 6 at 7. That's 750. So I say it's there. All right. Ah, Emmanuel. Just too late. All right, for 30, we need 990. For 30, we need 990. So that's 950. So 990 is up there. For 30, Okay, now 90 is over there. Good. And now we have 50, 1250, 50, 1250. So 50, that's 40. I need to 50. Something's not right. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 50, 1, 2, there's 1, 1, 1, 2, 5, 0. There we go. On the actual line. Good. Now for 70, 1750. For 70, 1750, there's 70. I need 600, 7, 70, 17, that's 16, 17. This looks a bit strange, guys. Looks a bit strange. This is 600. That's 700. That's 750. Oh, it's 1770. Sorry, it's 1510. My bad, guys. Oh, that coffee was way too strong. It's 1510. So for 70, it's 1510. 1510 is down here. And then we've got 90 is 1770. This is the last one I'm going to do. I'm not going to do them all. 90 is 1770. So 90, 17. This is 16, 17, 175. So about there. All right. So that's 1770. Now, when you draw this line, you should be getting excited because it's really useful to know that this relationship should give you a straight line. You should see a straight line with this. Guys, please, and I've said this before, if your line does this, it goes there, and maybe you read something wrong off the table like I did, and then it does that, and then it does that. No, guys. No. That's not, there's been a mistake there. So if I read the numbers wrong, and it looks like the line did like a zigzag here, you've got to go back and check. All right, it needs to be straight. So if it does that, you've got to go back and check. Okay, your Emmanuel is asking a question there. I'm just going to finish drawing this line over here. Hold on a second, Emmanuel. I'll be with you in a moment. There we go. All right, where's Emmanuel? It's gone. Emmanuel, you there?
He's still there. Hi, Emmanuel. You're unmuted.
Yes, Thunder, it is supposed to be a linear relationship. So it should be a straight line. All right, it should be a straight line. Okay, now that is the line. What am I missing? Do I just stop there? Guys, what should I add to this? You can't just leave this like this. What should I add to this? A label. Very good. A label. Okay, so this is costs. All right, that's the cost line. You should label it. All right, even if it's a different color and you think, oh, the marker will know. No, pretend the marker doesn't know, and you do everything for them. All right, you the teacher, they the student. You're showing them what to do here. All right, or name it. Yes, you can write a word on the line here, but even just writing it there or a key somewhere, that's fine. But make sure that it's labeled. Now, I want to check this graph. We see it's got a heading. If it didn't have a heading, we would put a heading. Our y-axis has got a heading as well, amount in rands, that's fine. And our x-axis has got number of plates of biryani, that's fine. So our y and x-axis have their titles. The bar has a heading or a title or a name, that's fine. I've got everything now. Our lines are labeled. Excellent. We're fine here. Okay, let's go on to question 3. Determine the minimum number of plates of biryani that Janet must sell before she starts making profit. The minimum she must sell before she will start to make a profit. Who can help me with this? Who's out there tonight? Who's out there tonight? Nicholas, can't you help me with this? Come on, Nicholas.
I see. There we go.
Hi, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm getting you.
Good. What do I do here? I mean, how do I find out the minimum number of biryani that Jonah must sell before she starts making a profit?
I think that means you need to find the break even.
Yeah. Why is it the break even? Why is that the break even? Because I'm sure there's guys online thinking, why did you call that the break even?
So that you can make a profit.
So yeah, the break even happens just before profit. Okay. So everyone is steering at that point there. Okay. At that point, there's the income and the expenses, or the income and the cost in this business are the same. So they call it break even because they're equal to each other. They're the same. So what happens after the break even on this side here? Is that profit or loss?
It's profit,
How do you tell that? How can you tell if it's profit?
because the income is more than the expenses.
Very good. The income is higher than the expenses. And then on the other side here, on the left-hand side of the break even, she'll be making a
Loss.
loss because her costs, her expenses are more than her income, higher than her income. Good. So when the question says, what's the minimum number of plates that Janet must sell before she starts making profit? You're right. They must be referring to that break-even point. So if I scroll down now, can you see how many she must make?
She needs to sell 50 plates.
Excellent. She needs to sell 50. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please, when you do this in the exam, draw a line down. I know you can see. I know you can see. All right. But draw a line down to show the marker I am reading off the graph. Sometimes the instruction will even say, use your graph, especially if they say, use your graph. You must draw on your graph, but just make a habit of it. So draw on your graph every time when you're trying to read values off your graph. So I draw a line down here and I can see there is 50. It hits 50 at the bottom here. So I'm telling the person marking, I know what I'm doing. Look here, I read it off because I drew a line down from the break even. That's what they want to see. Okay. VNC. All right, I'll repeat this quickly. Okay. So when you have total costs and total, or you can't say total income, costs and income plotted on one graph, they're going to have two lines, as you know. Okay. And in this case here, our two lines cross each other. They cross each other, all right? And where they cross each other, at that point there, the income for this business is the same as the cost of the business. Because they cross each other at that point there, the income will be the same as the cost. If I had to read the rands off the left, if I had to go left here, the value will be the same for income and cost, which means the income and cost are the same for the business, which means at that point, you're not making a profit and you're not making a loss. Okay, because none of them is bigger than the other. They're the same. So we call that point where the income is equal to the cost the break-even point. And we know that from there, you can either start making a profit or you're going to start making a loss. Now, in this case, after this point here, the income graph starts to go above. So in this area here, the income graph is higher than the cost. Your income, money coming in, is more than what's going out, so your business is making profit. So this side of the graph, there is profit. And you know on the other side of the graph, where your cost is more or higher than your income, you are making a loss. And in the middle, where they're crossing, you're breaking even. Now, the question says, determine the minimum number of plates of biryani that Janet must sell before she starts making a profit. Now, why is this an important question? Because as a business owner, you need to know how much you need to sell to start making profit. So I know, well, she knows that she has to sell 50 not to make a loss. If she's selling 50, she's breaking even. She can't go less than 50. And if she goes more than 50, not 50, is it 50? Yeah. If it's more than 50, she's making profit. If it's less than 50, she's making a loss. So it's a very important point in a business. Okay. Very important points. All right. So we read this off the graph, please. Draw a line, guys. You get all your marks, draw a line, go down to 50, and then you can write there she must make 50 plates. Okay, so please draw a line and then write the sentence like that. She must make 50 plates. All right, hope you guys are good with this. So that's a very simple break-even analysis where we've dealt with an equation, we've dealt with a table, and we've dealt with the graphs and working with the graphs. Okay, now similar situation, different context. Here's another business. It says Andile runs a travel agency and deals in tour packages. A math literacy student drew an income and expenses graph below to show and help Andile to determine the break-even point for his business. The formula used for expenses and income are shown below. Now, I've crossed out certain parts of the formula because I want you to help me build these equations or build these formulae based on the information that we have. All right. And here is the income and expenses graph for this business. All right, there it is. We got number of tour packages at the bottom, and we got the rand value on the left-hand side as usual. Blue line is income, red line is expenses. All right, now there's no table here. So they can play around with the three parts to this. Remove a table or remove an equation or remove a line on the graph. And you guys have to fill it in. The relationship's the same between them all though. So I've blanked out these equations here, and I want you to help me work out what value should go into the expenses equation for this business. So expenses equals two parts, something plus 500 times number of tour packages. Now, Emmanuel's keen. He's just written on this. So I'm sure it's fresh in his mind. Yes, Emmanuel? Emmanuel? Sure. The connection must be very bad tonight. Guys are putting up their hand and we're not getting through. You there, Emmanuel? Oh, sorry, Emmanuel. I'm sure you were on the money with this question, man, because you've just written it today. Khabo, just check your screen there. There we go.
So the expenses has to be the fixed cost.
Yes, that part that's blanked out must be the fixed. Let me put a little F there just to remind everyone. And then the 500 times number is the variable. Good. So let's go down to the graph. There's the graph. What about this graph tells you what the fixed cost is? Can you see it there on the red line somewhere?
So the fixed cost is 2,000 because
Ye-
it starts at the expenses line starts at 2,000.
Okay, good. That's it. So that value there is the fixed cost. Now, why do you say it's fixed? Because for 0 packages sold, you haven't sold any packages yet. You have fixed expenses. When do you see fixed expenses? When you're not selling anything. All right. When there are no variable expenses, you haven't sold a thing, there are always still going to be fixed expenses. And there they show. So at 0 for this expense line, there is a value. It doesn't start at 0 rands at 0. It starts at a value. And this value is 2,000 rand. So even if you haven't sold packages, your fixed expenses will be 2,000 rand. So let me erase this little black mark. And there you can see it's 2,000 rand for the fixed expense. Excellent. Good job. Yes, Vinci, well done where the graph starts. Now, the next part of this, the income from the tour packages. How do we work out the rand value times the number of, so this certain number of rands times the number of tour packages will give you your income. How can we find that off the graph? How do we find that off the graph? Where do we look for that? It's a certain number of rands times the number of packages. For example, for one package, it's a certain rand value. For 2 packages, it's a certain rand value. For 3 packages, it's a certain rand value. So where on this graph can we find that value? Anybody out there? Ben, you know, you could actually do it. It would involve equating the equations and doing a lot of equation manipulation. If we have time, I might show you how to do that. It will smell and taste a lot like core math, which I'm trying to avoid. But yes, you could equate at the break even there, the income equals your expenses. So those two equations must be equal to each other. You could manipulate the equation if you want to, but let's try and stay away from core math stuff. Isn't 9,000? I've got someone saying with a value of 9,000. Yeah, anybody? So the blue line tells us the income. I want to know, if you sell packages, you got to say rand value times number of the packages. What rand value is it in the equation? So I'll write you on the side, income, I equals rand value times packages. What is that rand value to work out the income here? Now we've got values coming out. Now we've got values coming out. People are saying it's 1,000. 1,000. I need someone to come tell me why they're saying 1,000. Someone needs to come online. Who's Luzuko? Oh, there's Ben. All right, hold on. Ben's hand went up and then it went down. Let's try to find Luzuko here, because Luzuko's got an answer. Luzuko, are you there? Check your screen. You should see an option to unmute. Please come online and tell us how we get 1,000. Luzuko Zamisa, you there? Yes, Luzuko.
Hello, sir.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, sir.
Good. Tell me, how do we get 1,000? Where off this graph do we find that?
We found it from like the one.
The one. Very good. So he's saying,
Yes, sir.
find where the number of tour packages is 1, which is between 0 and 2 there. And then he's saying use the 1, and you got to use the income line, go up onto the income line, and if you go across, you're gonna hit 1,000. That's
Yes,
it,
sir.
Luzuko. Well done. Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So you use one package as an example. Okay. You find one package, go up to the income line and across to find out what its value is. All right. So one package will bring an income of 1,000 rand. All right. So that is the income equation for this business. So if I go up here and I raise that black spot, there we go. 1,000 rand times number of tour packages. Okay, good job. Excellent. So now we know how to use the graph to build the equations. Okay, we can now use the equations to fill the table. All right, so those three things, the equation, the table, and the graphs are all linked to each other. You don't have to work first from the equation, then the table, then the graph. You can go backwards and you can jump from either one because there's a relationship between them. All right, so this is now our situation in the business. We've got an income and expense line. Here come the questions. Nice and easy to start off with. Everybody should be answering this one. Determine the number of tour packages at the break even. Everyone gets these 2 marks, right? Determine the number of packages. Yes, I should see the answer. Fill the chat there. All right, yes, we should fill the chat with the answer. Good job. Where does 500 come from in the equation? All right, good. VNC, I'm going to have a look at that now. Yes, well done, guys. That's correct. Okay, so the 500 here is the variable cost. So the 500 times the number of packages is the variable cost. The 2,000 is the fixed cost. So if we look at the expense line, it starts at 2,000, but at 1, if you really want to read it off, at 1, if you go up straight from 1, I'm just going to move it over there, and then go across from there to the line, okay? And you see that we find a value of 2,500. All right, so how to get the 500 is, if we make 0 packages, we have 2,000 rands worth of expenses. If we sell 1 package, we have 2,500 rands worth of expenses. And we know that 2,000 Rand is fixed. That doesn't change. It's the other value that changes. So from 2,000 going up to 2,500, it's a difference of 500 Rand. So once one package is sold, the expense for that one package will be 500, the variable expense. That's where the 500 comes from. That's how you can determine the 500 if you really needed to. Okay, so it's the difference between the 0 and the 1 value. Or you could do the same for the 2 value. If you take 2 and go up, the difference between the 1 value, which is 2,500, and the 2 value, which is 3,000, the difference there is 500 Rand. Okay, yes, everyone says the break even is 4. It is 4. All right, nice, easy, 2 marks in the bag. Easy money. Let's look at the next question. Determine the income if 8 tour packages are sold. Determine income if 8 are sold. Anybody want to help me with that one? What is the income if 8 packages are sold? Got to use the graph here, hey? Refill away with, with 9,500. We got 8,000. Do I hear anything else? We got 9,500. We got 8,000. Do I hear anything else? 9,500 again. I got 8,000 again. Do I hear anything else? Any other takers? 6,000. I hear 6,000. I got 8,000 again. All right, we got 9,500, 8,000, or 6,000. Emmanuel's determined the answer is 6,000. Oh, we'll have a look. We'll see. 9,500, 8,000, or 6,000. Let's have a look. Okay, so if the tour packages are 8, where is 8 tour packages? Down here on the x-axis. What is the income? So which means we've got to use the income line, the blue line. All right, let's just check the question. Determine the income of 8 packages. Yes. So we're using 8 packages and the income line for this. So I'm going to go straight down from number 8 and I'm going to go up to the income line. And then I'm going to go across to the y-axis and we can see that it hits at 8,000. All right. So 8 tour packages up to the income line, across to the Rand value, and you read it off as it's a common mistake. Don't worry. All right. Some people went right to the end. Some people use the expenses line. Just be careful there. Not too difficult to do. Please note, I'm drawing lines on my graph. Guys, please draw in pencil on your graph. Don't draw in pen because if you make a mistake, when you scribble that thing out, it looks horrible. Okay. So draw in pencil and show the marker. This is how I found my value. Don't just look at it and write a value down. Show the marker how you found the value. Draw on the graph, please. Okay, so let's just fill these in here. It was 4 packages for the break even. And it was 8,000 Rand income for 8 packages. All right. Now there's no calculations in my answers here. I'm reading these off the graph. So please show the marker how you got your answers. Okay. Number 3, let's see here now what this says. It says income received is VAT, which is value added tax, exclusive. So the income that you get from these, you see this 8,000 Rand here, for example, this income here excludes VAT. Determine the VAT amount payable for 6 tour packages. What is the VAT you're going to pay on 6 tour packages? What do I do? Somebody. You should be able to use pencil. I've never seen an instruction that you can't use pencil for calculations. All right. You can't use pencil for calculations, but on a graph, when you're drawing lines on a graph, you can use pencil. Don't use pencil for calculations. Okay. But on a graph, you can use pencil. Ben.
Yes.
Ben,
Ben,
How do we do this one?
Yes, I mean, is it not 100 divided by 15%? Then you times how many 6-12 packages are.
All right, let's work out how many 6-12 packages are. And this is for income. So again, we're going to use the graph. Stay with me, Ben. Just help me and check that I read this off correctly. 6 tour packages. I'm going to go down from here up to the blue line because they want income. VAT is on the income. I go across and it's 6,000 Rand. You with me?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got 6,000 Rand. And I need to know how much VAT do we pay on this? So what do you recommend I do?
100 divided by 15.
For the percentage. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't it be 15 over 100 for a percentage? Let me write it like that, and you tell me if it looks better. Does that look better?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to multiply by 15 over 100. So 6,000 times 15 over 100. And we get 900. Does that look right, Ben? The VAT you're going to pay on 6,000 Rand is, yeah, that looks right. Good job. All right, are we done? Let's see. Income received as VAT exclusive. Determine the VAT on 6 tour packages are sold. Yes, we got it. Now, where are the mark allocation? Thanks, Ben. Awesome job. Now, mark allocation. To find that 6,000 Rand, you're going to need a mark. To use a percentage calculation as a mark, and then 900 as a mark as well. Okay. Isabella, just be careful. That calculation you're doing is working out what is the amount for 6 tour packages and the VAT included altogether. Okay. So if asked the question, how much in total will be paid VAT included? That's the original 6,000 plus the VAT on, which is 6,900. Okay. But this question I just said, just determine the VAT. Determine the VAT, just the VAT. Determine the VAT, that's all. So this amount here, the 900 is how much VAT you will be paying on that. Okay, so just be careful with that. Now, let's move on. And this is an area here. It's not sure 223. This should be 233, or in our case here, question 3. Use your answer in question 3 to calculate the profit made from the 6 tour packages sold. Now, they want us to work out profit. And they give us an equation here. Now let's have a look at this equation because at first it sounds very confusing. They say the profit you make from this will be, number 1, your income minus your expenses. So why do we have minus VAT payable? What are they talking about here? We are the business people. Why do they say that we got to take off VAT here? Guys, what are they talking about? Why do they do that? Look, we don't really have to know. It's not part of this answer that we have to give them. We just have to use this equation, all right? But why are they saying minus VAT payable? I'll tell you why quickly, because we don't have time left. When you sell things in a business, you charge the customer VAT, all right? So you're not just charging 6,000 Rand, you're also going to charge them VAT as well. Now, the SARS wants that money. So when you charge them 15% VAT, you have to collect all that VAT that you're charging customers, and you have to send it to SARS. All right. So SARS gets the VAT payable amount sent to them. This is why this person has suggested that we must minus VAT payable, because the VAT doesn't go into your pocket. You got to pay it to SARS. So they're asking to remove it here from the profit. All right. So profits equals. Now, question 3 gave us the income, all right? And I'm assuming that this income is the VAT included one, guys, because we're going to have to remove the VAT. So I would say that this income here includes the VAT, okay? So that's going to be 6,900 Rand. Remember, we're going to remove 900 Rand at the end, minus the expenses for 6 tour packages. Now, where do we find the expenses for 6 tour packages? We have to go back to the graph. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go back to 6 packages, go up to the expense line now, go across to the Rand value and see that for 6 packages, you have 5,000 Rands worth of expenses. Okay, that needs to be brought down here into the equation. We've got 5,000 Rand of expenses. And yes, we know we have to remove the VAT, which we just calculated is 900 Rand. Okay. Now, let's do this all together. So 6,900 minus 5,000 minus 900. That'll give us 1,000 Rand profit. Yes. And so we got that. Good question. Why did I put 6,900? I'll tell you why. Because this equation here says that we've got to account for VAT. All right. When you get this income, eventually, you're going to be charging VAT, but you must remove it to see how much do I actually get. Because if you charge 6,900 Rand, which is VAT included, you don't keep the VAT. You have to give that to SARS. So you're not actually getting 6,900. You're getting 6,900 minus the VAT that you're charging. All right, that's what they're trying to show us here. Okay, so I'm using the VAT included price of 6,900, and then I'm taking it off at the end. So I'm showing it here, and then I'm taking it off at the end to show that I know I'm charging the customer VAT, but I will remove it at the end to work out exactly how much profit I can put in my pocket. Okay, so that's why I added the 6,900. Yeah, they should have said in this case, the income was VAT included for this equation, but they didn't, which is very naughty because most people don't understand that. You don't have to understand that in math literacy. So I'm just telling you guys why we're doing it tonight. Okay, but the profit is 1,000 Rand. All right. Do we have time for the last one? Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look. I wonder if you can work this one out. In fact, we might even start Thursday with this question. This is an interesting one. Determine the number of tour packages that were sold if the expenses are 1,500 Rand more than the income. So what number of packages are being sold when your expenses are 1,500 Rand more than the income? Very interesting question. Who thinks they know how we're going to do this one? When expenses are 1,500 more than the income, what will the number of packages be? Who thinks they know how to do this? If you're not sure, hold on to it. Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of that question. We're going to start Thursday's lesson with this very interesting question. So we will start Thursday's lesson with a bit of a bump. But I think we need to come back to this because it's a very interesting question. All right. So take a screenshot of that, and then I'm going to go up and take a screenshot of the graph. All right, Ben, I'm gonna unmute you now. Just take a screenshot of the question, and then there's the graph there. Let me remove all the nonsense. We got to work out when the expense is 1,500 and more than the income, how many packages are sold. How are we going to figure that out? And Ben says he's got a solution. While Ben is answering, the poll will pop up while you listen to Ben's suggestion here. But we're gonna do this one beginning of Thursday. All right, Ben, check your screen there. And let us know if you have an idea what we could do.
So don't you check the difference between the expenses and the income first, and then check if it's more than 1,500, then you have your answer.
Yes, very good. So are you saying when you check, where do you check it?
You take the two numbers. So you take, for example, you take 6,000 and then you minus by 5,000 and then you get 1,000. That's how
Okay.
you try and get your answer.
Okay. So I think what Ben is suggesting is we look at the graph here and we go to these expenses values and we subtract the income values from the expenses and look and see where can we get 1,500 Rand, and that'll be where your answer is. Is that what you mean, Ben?
Yes.
All right. Okay, and VNC saying it's 3. It's not easy to see. Hey, all right. We're gonna have to take a picture of this graph. Take a screenshot of this graph, guys, and we're gonna start Thursday's lesson with this question here. All right. There's 2 ways that I think we can do this. Ben's suggestion of comparing is a good one. I think you guys are eyeballing the graph here to try and find an answer, but there is also another way that I would like to quickly show you at the start of Thursday's lesson. But we'll do it then. We've run out of time for now.